In January 2000, Elon Musk got married. The honeymoon had to wait. There was a company to run. By September, he finally booked the trip, 2 weeks away with his wife, Justine, plus a few investor meetings folded in on the side. He was 29 years old and the CEO of X.com, one of the fastest-growing startups in Silicon Valley, a company he'd poured his entire Zip2 fortune into. As he boarded the flight, his own executives walked into the boardroom and delivered letters of no confidence. Not a complaint, not a memo, a coordinated move to remove him, timed for the exact moment he left the country. By the time he understood what was happening, it was done. The man who took his seat was Thiel. The company rebranded and went on to become PayPal, one of the most valuable launchpads in the history of technology. So which is it? Did they save the company from Elon Musk, or did they take it from him? Because the people who removed him weren't rivals. They were the people he trusted most. To understand how Elon Musk lost a company, start with the first one he wasn't allowed to run. In 1995, Musk arrived in Silicon Valley with a spot in a Stanford PhD program and abandoned it after 2 days. The internet looked more important than a physics degree, so he and his brother Kimball built a company called Zip2, online maps and business directories, sold to newspapers trying to survive the jump to the web. They had almost nothing. One computer, an office they also slept in, showers at the local YMCA. Musk wrote code through the night, and the company ran on it by day. It worked. By 1999, Zip2 was real enough that Compaq paid $307 million in cash to take it. Musk's share was $22 million. He was 27. But there's a detail in the Zip2 story that matters more than the payout. Somewhere along the way, the investors looked at their founder and decided he should not be the one in charge. They made him chief technology officer and brought in a professional CEO to sit above him. The man who built the company was moved away from the wheel. With $22 million in the bank, most people stop. Musk did the opposite. He took $12 million of it, more than half of everything he had, and put it into a new company called X.com. After taxes, that left him around $4 million to live on. Not nothing, but for a man who'd just been handed a fortune, it was a startling amount to push back onto the table. X.com wasn't a website that talked to a bank. It was a bank. One of the first federally insured online banks in the world, and Musk's vision for it was enormous. Not just payments, checking, savings, loans, insurance, investments, all of it in one account on the internet, with the slow and expensive middlemen of traditional finance cut out entirely. He believed the whole banking industry was a relic waiting to be replaced. He wanted X.com to be the thing that replaced it. The customers came fast, more than 200,000 in the first months. The idea was working. But Musk wasn't the only person in Silicon Valley trying to build the future of money. Another company was chasing the exact same customers, out of the same building on University Avenue in Palo Alto. It was run by a small team who were about to reshape the entire course of his life. The company was called Confinity. Confinity was built by two people, Max Levchin, the Ukrainian engineer who wrote it, and Thiel, the investor who ran it, with a co-founder named Luke Nosek alongside them. Their first product was built for the Palm Pilot, the pocket organizer people carried before smartphones existed. The idea was that two people could hold their devices together and pass money between them through an infrared beam, like a TV remote. It was clever, and it was useless. You needed the right gadget, and you needed to be standing next to the other person. That idea went nowhere. But a side feature, A way to send money to anyone with an email address, took off. They called it PayPal, which was a problem, because X.com had landed on the exact same idea. Two companies, one street, the same product, chasing the same customers. So they did what flush startups did in 2000. They paid people to join. $10 to sign up, 10 more for a referral. Both companies were buying users by the hundreds of thousands and burning cash to do it. Neither could win without bleeding the other dry first. Thiel made the call. If they couldn't beat each other, they should merge. Bill Harris, X.com's CEO, agreed. He was worried about the burn. Musk hated it. He never saw Confinity as an equal and fought the deal hard. He only gave in when Harris threatened to quit, which would have spooked the investors at the worst possible moment. In March 2000, the two companies became one. They kept the X.com name. Thiel came aboard, Levchin stayed as the technical lead, and the new company now held two founders who did not agree on what it should be. Harris didn't last. Within months, clashing with both Thiel and Musk, he was pushed out. And Musk, who'd held a grudge against him, helped do it. Musk took the CEO seat. Thiel stepped back to chairman of the board. Worth noting because Musk had just removed a CEO through a boardroom maneuver. He would learn what that felt like soon enough. Then came the fights that actually mattered. The first was the name. Musk wanted everything branded X.com, with PayPal demoted to a subsidiary. He even floated X-PayPal. The team pushed back hard. Focus groups found that X.com sounded like something disreputable. PayPal sounded like a friend who helped you get paid. Musk wouldn't budge. To him, PayPal was a small idea. X was a company that could swallow the world's banking system. The second fight sounded technical and ran much deeper. Musk wanted to rebuild the platform on Microsoft Windows. Levchin's engineers thought Windows was insecure and wrong for the job and wanted Unix. One night, the argument got so circular that Musk offered to settle it by arm wrestling. Levchin declined. The disagreement never really closed. Underneath it all, the company was still losing around $12 million a month, and Musk was steering it toward a risky rebuild that Levchin believed was a mistake. The people who were supposed to be his partners were building the case against him. By the summer of 2000, the people around Musk had stopped arguing with him and started counting. They counted the months of engineering time disappearing into his Windows rebuild. They counted the money, still around $12 million a month. They counted the times he'd waved off Levchin's warnings about fraud, while criminals were learning exactly how easy the system was to rob. And they counted the hours he worked, because Musk worked nearly all of them, running on almost no sleep inside everyone's code and everyone's decisions. To them, this was not a visionary. It was a man steering a fragile company toward a cliff on instinct. So they did what Musk himself had done to Bill Harris a few months earlier. They met at a bar. They made a plan, and they agreed not to breathe a word of it to his face. The group included Max Levchin and Peter Thiel, and in a sense, that was almost to be expected. They were the Confinity side. They had never fully been his. The harder part was who else had turned. David Sachs, who by now had become one of Musk's own allies, was in it. And the loss of faith reached people Musk had personally brought in, including Roelof Botha, the young chief financial officer Musk had hired, a fellow South African he trusted. The knife wasn't coming from strangers. It was coming from people he had chosen. The plan was simple. Don't confront him. Wait for him to leave. Then go to the board. And Musk was about to leave. In September 2000, he and Justine boarded a flight to Sydney, a long-delayed honeymoon, stitched together with investor meetings and the Summer Olympics. It was the first real time off he'd taken in years. That was the window. As his plane cleared the California coast, his executives delivered letters of no confidence to the board. While he was somewhere over the Pacific, the conspirators went to Michael Moritz of Sequoia Capital, the investor whose backing could move the board. They proposed that Thiel return as CEO. The board agreed. By the time Musk grasped what was happening, it was already done. He flew home. There was nothing to come home to. The company was no longer his. Peter Thiel was CEO. Within months, the X.com name Musk had fought for would be gone, and the company would carry the name he had tried to bury: PayPal. And here is what makes the story harder rather than simpler. Musk did not burn it down. He could have fought, sued, gone to war in the press. Instead, he sent a message to the entire company saying he would support them any way he could, and told them to rally behind Thiel. He kept his shares. Privately, he was devastated. He later admitted his first reaction was rage, and darker than rage. He also never let it go. Years later, he still insisted that if they had left him in charge, PayPal could have become something far bigger than a payments app. A trillion-dollar company. The world's financial system, built exactly the way he'd drawn it. The people who removed him believed they had just saved the company from its own founder. Whether they were right is the question the rest of this story has to answer. So was Elon Musk the problem? Or did they remove the one person who saw what the company could have become? Start with the case against him, because it's strong. The moment Thiel took over, he did the opposite of nearly everything Musk had pushed. Musk wanted an everything bank: payments, loans, savings, insurance, all under one roof. Thiel narrowed the company to a single job: moving money between people. The risky rebuild on Microsoft was scrapped, and Levchin, the engineer Musk had fought with, whose fraud warnings Musk had waved off, was turned loose on the problem that was actually threatening to kill the company. Because fraud was killing it. Criminals were draining PayPal faster than honest users could fund it. Levchin's team built the detection systems that stopped the bleeding, and those systems became one of PayPal's real advantages. The danger Musk had downplayed turned out to be the danger that nearly ended PayPal, and beating it is what made it. And the focused version worked fast. By 2002, PayPal was handling most of the transactions on eBay. It went public that February. 8 months later, eBay bought it outright for $1.5 billion. A sprawling superbank might never have reached that point. A narrow payments company did. By that math, the coup didn't break PayPal. It built it. Now, the other side. The growth that made PayPal worth buying didn't start after Musk left. It was already exploding while he ran it. Tens of thousands of new accounts a day, eBay adoption rising every month. He was the one who'd forced the merger that created the combined company at all. And his mocked idea that this should be more than a payment button, that it should be the backbone of a person's entire financial life under one brand called X, was early, not foolish. You can see it in what came after. PayPal stayed a feature, an excellent one, but a feature. Musk spent the next 2 decades arguing it could have been one of the largest financial companies on Earth, and the people who removed him made certain it never tried to be. More than 20 years later, he bought back the X.com domain, renamed Twitter to X, and started chasing the same everything app idea all over again. So which is it? The closest thing to a fair answer is this. Removing Musk almost certainly saved PayPal in the short term. Focus and fraud control produced a clean, fast, massive payday in the middle of a market crash. But it may also have capped what PayPal could ever be. The coup rescued the company and lowered its ceiling in the same move, and it also scattered what became known as the PayPal Mafia, the founders and early staff who took that money and went on to start or fund Tesla, SpaceX, LinkedIn, YouTube, Yelp, Palantir, and a large share of Silicon Valley itself. The people who ran that company would shape the next 20 years of technology. It also handed its furious, deposed founder $180 million and a grudge. What he did with both is the rest of the story. Elon Musk walked away from PayPal with $180 million and no company to run. Most people at that point stop, invest carefully, never risk it all again. Musk did the opposite. He took the money the coup had handed him and bet every dollar of it. Again. In 2002, the year PayPal sold, he founded a rocket company called SpaceX. 2 years later, he poured much of what was left into a struggling electric car startup named Tesla, and eventually took it over himself. Then Solar City. Later, Neuralink. Later still, an artificial intelligence company called XAI. He didn't spread the risk out. He kept concentrating it, and it nearly destroyed him. By 2008, SpaceX and Tesla were both running out of money at the same time. SpaceX had launched 3 rockets. All 3 had failed. Tesla was burning cash into the worst economy since the Depression. Musk later said he gave each company less than a 10% chance of making it. He split his last reserves between them anyway, knowing the choice might kill both. The 4th SpaceX launch reached orbit. A NASA contract followed days later and saved the company. The Tesla financing closed in the final hours of the last day it was still possible. Christmas Eve, 2008. Both companies lived by a margin almost too thin to believe. That is the story that turned the PayPal ouster into legend. The founder they pushed aside didn't fade. He built a rocket company, the most valuable car maker on Earth, and the largest personal fortune in the world. The removal became chapter 1 of a myth. The visionary, too bold for the people around him, proven right on a scale no one had imagined. But the myth has a flaw worth naming, because this was never really revenge. When SpaceX was nearly dead, Musk didn't make war on the men who'd removed him. He went to one of them for help. Peter Thiel's fund invested in SpaceX and took a stake. Luke Nosek, a Confinity co-founder, became a director of the company. The people who'd taken PayPal from him helped bankroll what came next. And Musk himself later said the coup was the best thing that could have happened. That if he'd stayed, he'd still be grinding away at a payments company instead of building rockets. So the revenge was never aimed at the people. It was aimed at their verdict. They had judged his vision too risky, too sprawling, too much for one company to carry. He spent the next 20 years proving the same instincts they fired him for could build some of the most important companies of the century. And yet, the single idea at the heart of all of it, the Everything app, the one brand called X that swallows your entire financial life, he is still chasing, and it still hasn't worked. He bought back the X.com name. He renamed a social network after it. The dream that got him removed remains, to this day, unproven. The executives who removed him believed they were saving the company. The man they removed became one of the most influential entrepreneurs in modern history. Maybe that's the part we never want to admit. That some betrayals don't destroy what they hit. They build it into something it could never have become on its own. So were they wrong to remove him? Or was removing him the best thing anyone ever did for Elon Musk? They were trying to save a company. They may have built an empire instead, just not the one they were standing in.